Welcome back to my second Bachmann story video. I've been constantly asked since the last video to do a second one. I couldn't really do an update video before because there weren't enough events to cover, but I thought it'd be nice to get one out before the end of the year. And we've got some fun things to cover. A lot of it is me being idiotic. If you haven't seen the first video, I'd recommend watching that first. But for a short recap, Thomas Theorist got me into buying model trains.
Oh, that was cool.
I bought a crappy used Thomas set from Facebook, then I bought an actual working Hornby starter set and some engines. I cut my finger open on Henry's packaging, made a custom, and made plans for creating a small layout. Today, we'll be seeing some new engines, some terrible purchase decisions, me injuring myself again, and me almost destroying my most expensive model. So without further ado, let's jump right in. Last video, I mentioned I had a package of track and trucks coming. There were a few trucks, a brake van, and even a breakdown crane. There are quite a few track pieces too, ranging from straights, curves, and 2-point sections. I needed some more track that wasn't the crappy easy track from my Thomas set, and I wanted more than, 2 trucks? This lot seemed great. What could possibly go wrong? Nothing, actually. Is what I would say if this lot wasn't a piece of shit. So yeah, the listing wasn't the clearest in all the issues. The breakdown crane's chain was broken, which was kind of viewable on the image, so I guess you can pin the blame on me there. Would have been nice if you said that in the description of the listing though. Most of the trucks' wheels don't roll properly, including the breakdown crane, which I can't tell by image, so I'm not blaming myself there. Also, a bunch of the vans had the wrong coupling system, which I couldn't see because they were in boxes. I guess I could have researched them or something. I only got 3 working trucks from this lot. 3! And one of them is just a chassis from some random truck. Luckily for me, most of the track works fine. One of the point sections doesn't work though. I tried cleaning it and putting new rail joiners, but it still cuts power out. Now, was this lot a waste of money? I mean, yeah, kinda, but I don't fully regret buying this. This was the real turning point for me on buying used items. I found out that the frustration of buying used things was not worth it, and I'd probably save myself more time, money, and happiness by just buying new items. Plus, this lot did give me quite a few curves and straights, so not a total loss. The other thing I mentioned in the last video was that I ordered a new engine, and that engine was a Jinty. It was a pretty good price, and Jintys are neat tank engines. I got this blue variant because it looks more lively than the regular black. I really love this model. It runs smoothly and is actually one of my fastest engines, up there with Henry.
Hello.
I recently got a silver paint pen, and with it, I painted the details on the smokebox door and handrails. Oh yes, looks so much better now. Playing with my Jinty and Smokey Joe Percy together, however, kinda made me think about Thomas as a Jinty, and I'm currently in a bit of a debate with myself. I really want to make a Jinty Thomas in a similar style as my Smokey Joe Percy, but I'm unsure whether to use my current Jinty or buy a new one. I can easily get a new one, and I do like this Jinty as is, but something's telling me maybe I should turn this one into Thomas. I'm not sure at the moment, but I can guarantee that I definitely want to do that custom, so keep an eye out for that in the next video. Those were 2 big things that happened. Let's move on to something smaller, how I injured my hand again. So I'm currently just storing all my track like this. It's not the best storage box, but it's all I have at the moment. So I was just trying to reach something under my table, and while doing so, I stabbed my palm with one of the track pieces. The mark's gone now though, since this was back in September. I need to be more careful, don't I? Clearly I haven't learnt anything though, because I'm still storing my track like that, so I can't wait to see how I injure myself in the next video. It had been a bit since I actually bought something, so I decided to buy some more Bachmann Thomas engines. Then I opened Amazon and remembered, oh yeah, Bachmann Thomas is expensive. They recently brought Edward down in price from being over $200, and for like a solid 2 weeks, I kept forcing myself not to buy it. I really wanted Toby. After seeing it on Adam's layout, I thought he looked pretty good. I also really wanted James and Diesel, but Toby would sometimes go down to a reasonable price, so I just waited until the time was right and I bought him. And then I caved and bought Edward too because I was deprived of model trains and he just looked so cool and I wanted him then. And I also bought Henrietta. Damn it. Let's talk about Edward first. Edward is a peak Bachmann model. He's a perfect representation of his show counterpart. He runs pretty okay, not really many issues I've had playing with him. He just looks so good and was worth the money. Toby is also a neat model. I think it looks much better in person than the pictures show. I always thought Toby looked kinda okay before, but after actually holding the model, he looks much nicer in person. He is a little noisy and pretty slow, but I mean, Toby is slow in the show, so it's not like I'm missing out on much. Plus, he is just extra smooth at stopping and starting. It's like butter. And what's Toby without Henrietta? Henrietta's fine. I don't really have much to say about her, honestly. She completes the look of Toby. Yummy. Now that I had quite a few engines, I wanted to start actually working on my layout design. But before I got into that, I wanted to build a temporary layout to test having two controllers at the same time. That old Thomas controller I got from that set turned out to be kinda broken.
Something's broken inside you, controller.
I don't want to do this no more.
It worked in one direction, but not the other. One direction. I figured I could still use this temporarily until I eventually replaced it. Here is the temporary setup I made. This was quite fun to play on, and only got me more excited to actually build the layout I wanted. First things first though, I needed a new controller. Cause this one's smelly.
Smelly, 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 smelly.
I bought another Bachmann controller, which was essentially the same as the Thomas one, just grey. These controllers are just really easy to use and very smooth. Also, not to mention, I can't really find any other good controllers in Australia for a decent price. If there are any Aussies out there who have good controller recommendations to maybe replace my crappy Hornby one, let me know in the comments below. Okay, now we can do the fun part. Hoorah! Actually starting my final layout. I decided to try and tackle the dockside first. If you remember my crappy drawing from the last video, I wanted to have a small dockside at the end of the board, where I can also push trucks into the sea. What I would love to have is embedded rails, however, I don't have the skill level to accomplish that. I still want to separate the dock track look from the regular ones, so I decided on using the Bachmann Easy track. I know some people don't really like this track, but I don't really mind. I plan on penning it up somehow to look a little nicer. The other main reason I wanted to use the Easy Track was so I can use that terminal piece to power everything. I bought a pack of Easy Track that came with points so I could create this layout. But then I ran into a big problem, because of course I did. I was having issues trying to figure out where to put the terminal piece. I couldn't fit it horizontally like I originally wanted because I found out there wasn't enough room on the board. And if I placed it after these point sections, the docks would be taken up over half the board. And I couldn't place it before the points because that would cut the power off. I was annoyed because this pier area would have been perfect for it, but it's not gonna send power through. Wait, what? So apparently Easy Track doesn't cut the power off with the point sections? Most people probably hate this, but it actually helps me a great deal because now I have a place for my terminal track. And with that, the dockside layout of track is done. I did change the layout slightly in the left end corner because I couldn't fit this 2-track thing. To be fair, this drawing was a very rough draft just to give me an idea of what I wanted. I wanted to at least finish the outer loop connecting both ends of the docks, so I worked on that. I originally just planned for it to go in a simple circle, but Adam suggested to me to create a runaway siding to try and fill out some of that dead space in the corner. And it turned out great! I love this little area, and I think I might try and get a coal hopper here or something. Might be some nice decoration. From the start, I've wanted a station platform between the two loops, similar to Elsbridge. On the outer loop, I figured it would look nice here. Now I just needed an inner loop to go next to the platform, but the inner loop was a bit harder to figure out. I never accounted how much space this track actually takes when you lay it out, and I was unsure how to tackle the tight space in the middle, so I figured I'll deal with that later. I was happy to at least have the main line done. I got in the mood for making another custom. I didn't really know what to make because I could hardly find engines online for good prices. I've always wanted to try making a custom duck for fun, and to my surprise one day when scrolling through eBay, I found a used pannier tank for really cheap.
TT, have you not learned anything? Why are you still buying cheap models? Are you stupid?
Yes.
I know that you all think I'm stupid for buying cheap used models again, and yeah, I probably shouldn't, but in my defense, it was only like 70 bucks plus the seller actually put a video of the model running, so I could tell it actually worked. My only issue from what I saw was that it was a bit noisy, but the main reason I didn't really care about buying the used model was that I just wanted to paint this up. I wasn't too concerned if it performed well, I just wanted to have some fun. I can have fun, right? The other reason I was pretty keen on making duck was that I knew I was never gonna get a Bachmann duck because Amazon? What the hell are those prices? So I bought that pannier tank. When Duck arrived, I tested him out on the track, and he worked fine. Still noisy, but I didn't care. At least it didn't sound as bad as some other terrible engine. My main problem with Duck though was that he would smell pretty bad after using him. Like, oh my god, it's awful. My nose is pretty messed up, so the fact that it smells that bad to me is saying something. Oh well, I didn't mind. I'm mainly here just to make a fun custom. Yeah, a fun custom. Fun! With no issues making it whatsoever. Subtle foreshadowing. Like I mentioned in my last video, I brush paint all my models. I personally find it easier than spray paints, and to be honest, I find it more enjoyable. I love holding the model in my hand while I paint it. Even if the end result won't look the best, I'd rather have fun making the model. I started painting Duck with a mix of lime green, yellow, and white. I was inspired by a sorta Season 3 look, as that was my favorite. On camera, this looks way more neon for some reason. Trust me, it was not that bright green in person. I decided to add more yellow to the second coat, however, just to try and make it look a little more desaturated. I painted over my green mess on the running board, added his number with paint pens, and painted a practice GWR on a piece of paper. I was pretty happy with it, so I tried it on the model. And I made the W a bit too fat.
You're too fat.
It's fine though. I don't need to go back. I can live with it. It's fine. For the face, I cut off a 2014 Wooden Railways face.
Oh dear.
Now, to put the face on, I had to shave down the smokebox start. Easy enough. Except the pannier tank has a smokebox door. You know, the thing that's there usually instead of the face.
Hello.
And if you didn't know, kids, you can't place a flat surface on a round object and expect that flat surface to lay flat. So to fix this, I would need to shave down the door. It's fine though. It'll just get rid of a bit of paint that I can just touch up and... Oh. Oh no. Well, I got the face on it nice. Just ruined the whole chuffing front. But I can repaint it, right? Right? So, you know how I was using a mix of 3 colors? Well, guess what, kids? Did you know that sometimes you can't perfectly recreate the color you created before? Because you don't remember the exact amounts of paint, and even the tiniest drop can make it a different color. I spent so much time trying to get the exact color with multiple recoats, and I still could never get it to match! You can't notice it that much anymore, and to be honest, I actually forgot for a while, so... I guess that's a win. I then finally painted the handrail silver and it makes a world of a difference. And that's kind of my Duck. He doesn't look the best, I'll admit. Some people are probably gonna say he looks awful. But I enjoyed painting him, even for those frustrating moments. And isn't that what counts? I'm just happy I can at least have a Duck model. Because I know I'm never gonna buy a Duck from Amazon with that ridiculous price. Oh, sorry, hold on, I'm getting a phone call. Hello? Uh-huh. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye. So, Amazon put Bachmann Duck on sale literally the same week I finished mine. So this next story is about another 2 engines I bought. Now I should probably be telling you this in part 3, but they both arrived at the same time as Duck, so I'm gonna talk about them now. I found this listing of a Terrier and a tender engine. The seller had previously painted this blue livery on them with custom, weathering? Yeah, that should have been my first sign of danger. The seller claimed they ran well, so I bought them thinking I could make a Stepney and maybe James out of the tender engine. Last time I wasn't able to make James with the tender engine from Facebook, so maybe this time will be different. And I'm glad to say that this time was absolutely no different to last time. First of all, the packaging was awful. It was tightly wrapped with a sheet of bubble wrap and masking tape. I just want to compare this to the packaging my pannier came in. He was wrapped in bubble wrap and cushioned with cotton, and these look like something I fished out of the rubbish bin. Not only was this hell to open, but it broke the models. A part of the Terrier's buffer beam snapped off and his smokebox door was detached. Loosely in the package was the weight just freely moving around in there. The tender engine didn't seem to have had any damage. However, one of the tender wheels, which was meant to be powered, was free rolling. So either the seller lied about the condition or they broke the wheel by packaging it too tightly. In any case, the tender engine was kind of running at first, but now doesn't work properly. And at this point, I cut the wires and just plan to use them for spare parts. As for the Terrier though, he runs okay. A bit noisy and a little smelly, not as much as Duck, but he runs alright. I'm currently turning him into a Stepney, which you will all see in part 3. Quick note, while painting Stepney, I have also repainted Smokey Joe's footplate to be a darker red, as it used to be just a paint pen. And I just love how much better he looks with it. Having the red paint pen undercoat made painting this so much easier. Let's move back to the inner loop. I was having issues because now the space was getting quite tight. I was contemplating having a roundhouse with a turntable, but I soon realized I couldn't because 1, I couldn't fit a turntable that lay flat on the board, and 2, I didn't have the space. So I just decided to focus on making a functional second loop. I knew I wanted the option to travel from the main line into the inner loop, so I needed a point section to go inside and another one to allow engines to constantly go round in circles. I knew I needed more track for points and straights, so I bought some of these Hornby starter set expansion packs. With these, I was able to create a loop I was happy with. I also got wider radius curves in one of these packs, so I took that opportunity to put them on their outer loop, so that any engine would run on their well. I was very happy with what I had. Now I just had to focus on the center. I still wanted some type of shed and shunting yard, but my space was so limited and I tried multiple times concepting and placing tracks, figuring out a layout. I finally got one I'm satisfied with. It will have a small shunting area and a 2-berth shed. I've already ordered the pieces I need for this and they will be here soon. But now I can officially show you the final rough plan of my layout. We have the main line, which runs through a station and dockside. There is the option to run off the pier into the sea. There is also a point section that leads into a siding near the station, most likely to refuel the trains. From the main line, you can go down to the harbour and collect goods from the boats. You can take the train up into the inner loop where you can either unload at the station or in the shunting yards. There is a 2-berth shed which an engine can leave from and go into the shunting yard or around the loop. If I had more space, I would have loved just making this layout bigger. Bigger docks, station, shed, etc. But I am pretty satisfied with this design. It's got 2 loops to run trains and a bit of fun to it. Everything I could want. So, do you remember at the start of the video how I said I almost destroyed my most expensive model? Yeah, not only was it my most expensive, but also my favorite. And that was Henry. So basically, I was testing out my new point section on the layout, and I was seeing if tender engines could clear it properly. Henry's bogies mustn't have liked it, cause before I could do anything, it happened. Henry fell off the 2.5 foot table and landed on the hard wooden floor right on his wheels. His face went flying off and I just stopped for a moment. I was so scared. Henry was such a good model and he was my best runner. I picked up his model, spent about 3 minutes looking for his face, checked for any physical damage and found that there was some very slight cracks or scratches on his undercarriage. I was just able to push his face back into place very easily, but it's a little loose now. I put him back on the track and hoped for the best. Somehow, he still works!
Hurrah!
Absolute Giga Chad! Bro fell off a table, on his wheels, on a hardwood floor, and somehow lived that. I'm sorry, but Henry's just absolutely my favorite model. This guy's a beast! That got me thinking though. I don't want something like this to happen again. And I can't stay on both ends of the table to stop anything falling. My current idea for a solution right now is to have some kind of barrier to prevent engines from falling off the table if they derail. My main issue with this though is that I don't know how to make it look good visually. Maybe I can put some shrubbery or something in front of it? If anyone has any good ideas on what I can do, let me know. And well, here we are in present day. This video may not have been as eventful or funny as the first one, but I hope you still enjoyed it. Part 3 is going to be exciting. I would have finished laying out the track and might be starting scenery. I would have finished Stepney, and one more big thing. Amazon had a Black Friday sale while I was writing this script. So for part 3, I have 5 new Bachmann Thomas engines coming. I'm gonna lose so much money on this hobby. So I hope you guys stay tuned for the next installment. I just want to address some things from the last video. Firstly, people told me to lubricate Thomas to make him run better. I haven't tried that yet, but weirdly enough, he's kind of working again for some reason. He just needs a good run sometimes. Secondly, I have to say it again, but I live in Australia, and I've stated before that there isn't a lot of stuff available to me, especially at a good price. I don't care what anyone says, I am not paying $400 for a model. And finally, I just want to reiterate that I'm doing this purely for fun. I may not take this hobby as seriously, but that's just because I want to have fun in my own way. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more Bachmann content, check out my first video, and also my friend Thomas Theorist's new collection video. I'm sure you'll enjoy both.